Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the return of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That thing at the beginning, not really sure I understand it. It's like a 3-month look into the future. It's like something like a ship or something in space, and then you see like a jacket with S.H.I.E.L.D's logo, and you see the ship kind of exploding, and then it goes like, oh, welcome to present day. We have Coulson meeting with the president. In Rosalind's house is still super depressing. I mean, Rosalind's blood is literally still in the freaking carpet. It sucks, dude. It really freaking does. Like the whole Rosalind thing. I mean, it's like someone had said it, like, you know, back when it originally happened, but it's like Coulson he just can't be happy, can he? Like, it's impossible for Coulson just to be happy for a long period of time. It's like, come on, he was literally starting to get happy again. Him and Rosalind were in a good place. He apologized about the whole not trusting her thing and going behind her back thing and being like, okay, now I trust you. And then, you know, Ward killed her. So, basically, Coulson, kind of gets the president's okay to continue doing what they're doing, the whole like S.H.I.E.L.D. working behind the scene. S.H.I.E.L.D. can't be welcomed back into, you know, with open arms publicly because, you know, everything that's kind of transpired. Basically, in his words, he's like, the public kind of doesn't have as short of a memory as you think they would. He's like, I can't officially let you do what you do, but as long as we keep it a secret, it's fine. And basically, Coulson really wants to go after Malik, the guy who literally Ward was working for when he killed Rosalind. He's like, the dude's Hydra, and the president's like, I know you can't just go after him, you know, especially if you don't have proof because he's in such a high position. He's got his hands in a lot of different stuff, a lot of connections to leaders in different countries, so it's like he's not someone that you could just come after, and there's no way I can officially help you. But once again, it's kind of an unofficial thing. But if you went after him unofficially, you know, I wouldn't say no to you doing that. Essentially, we have this week's mission was basically the team looking into a crate of weapons being stolen by one can only assume is an Inhuman. You have that line from Hunter that I really like. Basically, all it takes is one tainted fish taco and bam, someone has powers. Essentially something like that. And he admits that apparently he tried the fish oil trying to get powers. And Bob even admits that she tried, you know, she thought about it, you know, because rehab was a bitch. No judgments for me, though, because personally, I think if I was in that situation, I would have given it a try, too. We learn a very interesting thing about the Inhumans' powers. Lincoln says that, you know, they were taught that their powers aren't random, that they're given out to fill in evolutionary need at a time. That basically the powers exist as a way to balance out the world. From my understanding, it's like saying, so for example, if there's someone with the power to run really fast or whatever, there's going to be a person who has the power to slow down things, you know, as a means of balancing it out. Like I said, that's just how I interpret that. So it's kind of interesting because Gemma actually found it fascinating too, because she was under the assumption, because she was like, oh, all these powers, you know, people just getting random powers. How are we supposed to know, like, what kind of abilities they get? But then he explained that to her. So it was very fascinating. We also have Fitz blaming himself about the whole Will situation. Which is like, why are you blaming yourself, dude? That wasn't even Will. Will was dead, you know. He sacrificed himself for Gemma. And, you know, Coulson kind of reminds him, too. He's like, you did what you had to do. We both did, you know, hence him killing Ward. Which is kind of like, what, you know, at this point, what we know now is like, was killing Ward actually the best decision? You know, now that Ward's back, it's that thing. I mean, granted, he's not doing much because he's still recovering, so. But we also have Gemma, you know, nearing the end of the episode trying to fix that relationship with Fitz because she wants them to work on, you know, bridging the gap that, you know, they find themselves, you know. So they're like, oh, let's kind of start over type of thing. Basically, we find out that the lady in this episode, the one with the human ability, wasn't stealing from the police, stealing the guns from the police just to use them. She was actually trying to get rid of them. Because the police in this country are very corrupt. They even have an inhuman on their side. Basically, it seems like his power is basically essentially rigor mortis. He can temporarily make your body go into rigor mortis by, like, he has these little shades, special shades that he just flips up, and once he sees you, he does that to you. It messes you up pretty bad. I really like. I'm completely missed what her name was. But the lady's powers, like how it works. She's referred to like a yo-yo. I mean, turns out that's actually her name because that's what Matt calls her at the very end of the episode. Just like Daisy is, Quake. That's kind of her inhuman name. But this particular inhuman, she can move fast, but she snaps back to her original position. She can go as far as she wants. She can go as far as she can get in one heartbeat. So as far as she can make it in one heartbeat is as far as she can go, and then she just snaps back to her original position. It's pretty awesome. I make sure to look her up after the episode just because I wanted to see whether she was like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. original or whether she was from the comic books. She is in fact from the comic books. She's also known as Slingshot, apparently. I didn't read too deeply into her. I just kind of skimmed. After I did a Google search, I kind of skimmed through some things, so I didn't really look into her a lot. But I'll probably, take time to look at her a little bit more. So, also, I like the little possibility of her and Mac, because it seemed like Matt's kind of got a thing for her, and even Daisy's kind of noticing. He's like, don't say anything. So don't even, he's like, don't even go there. We also have Coulson using that Hydra kid from a couple episodes back who, got tortured after that whole, he's the one person that survived that whole situation when Andrew turned into Lash and killed everyone. That kid. Coulson wants to kind of hook him up to a machine to kind of stabilize his brain so that he can essentially tell them how to get to Gideon. With a little help from Lincoln, they were able to get information from him, and Coulson goes to a particular phone and he talks to Gideon. And Gideon kind of taunts throws the whole Rosalind thing in Coulson's face, and he's like, basically like, you come after me all you want to. I've got very powerful friends, essentially. And nearing the end of the episode, we have Coulson, kind of hitting like different operations of Gideon's, and then we have him and May talking, because May's basically like, maybe you're not supposed to be all right. Maybe there are just certain things that scar you. Specifically on this whole like he pretends like he's completely okay with what he did to Ward. It still weighs on his conscience because I think because still, no matter what Ward did, he still looks back and just probably thinks about the times that Ward and him worked together. It probably back in season 1, before he turned evil. So maybe that, or just killing anyone in general. Maybe has he ever killed anyone before? I'm not sure he has, but this was different, I guess. And May tells Coulson, it's like, welcome to the Calvary. So, and at the very end of the episode, we had the moment where the president is basically telling Coulson that Talbot is going to start working underneath him now. And Coulson's like, yeah, he's going to be super happy about it. He's like, oh, you two have experience together. You've worked together before. He's like, work together. Yeah, if you want to basically kind of like, if you want to call what we've done, quote unquote, working together. And it just ends with Phil just going, ah. So that's going to be interesting when Talbot finds out, like, I'm working for Phil. I'm working under Phil, not working with, under. He's my new boss. That's going to be pretty interesting. So I'm really liking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's basically kind of like getting a start up because we still haven't even seen what that whole thing inside of Ward is capable of. I mean, last time we see him, basically Gideon and it's kind of a little like unsure if he's the this badass that he claims to be. And he's like, I'll just have to like basically change your mind. And he holds his hand out and he does that. I guess his body was turning to sand. It's like, I don't know. So far, doesn't seem like the badass monster he claims to be, but I'll be interested to see like how that goes. Part of some things people brought up they were kind of worried about is just like, oh, now Ward's dead. He's like one of the best Marvel villains in most people's cases. They thought of him as like currently one of the best Marvel villains, at least like, you know, cinema wise, you know, across the movies and TV show wise. And now that it's just that thing inside of him, you know, that villain is gone. But part of me is like, well, what if he can access Ward's personality as well as his memories? You know, keep a little bit of Ward there and mix it with whatever the hell this thing is, and you have like probably an unstoppable force. You know, its power meets Ward's mind as well as his training. So, but I don't know. I will admit, Ward looks weird as hell. Like that's kind of creepy, just how his body looks. All is that just fusing with that creature? I mean, his face, yeah, but what about the rest of his body? Like his chest, it looks like it's caving in and stuff. I don't know. Maybe. You know, maybe that's a combination of it entering his body, and the fact is that oh yeah, I forgot. He got his chest crushed, and that's why he looks like that. I forgot. I was like wondering why his chest looked like, because it got crushed by Phil. I totally remember now. Okay. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. So until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.